Hello, I hope that you are doing very good. Carolina Lopez speaking, representative of UNEP in Chile and also coordinator at a world level of trainings of the same institution. We are very pleased to welcome you to our second webinar of a series of 5 about funding of circular economy organized by UN Environment, the Sustainability Academy of the Ecobusiness Fund, BID, BID Invest, Go for Entities, and Circular Economy Coalition. Today's webinar is about circular economy as the key element in the race to net zero. The first webinar of this series was in June the 9th, focused on financing circular economy. You can access the resources and the recordings of these webinars, and you will find all of the presentations at the UNEP file and the folder about circular economy, and we'll also be sharing this through on the chat. The next webinars will be made in the upcoming weeks on August 24th about funding of circular economy to SMEs and September 21st about objective fixations related to circular economy, and the last one, October 17, about determining taxonomies and metrics applied to circular economy. We have simultaneous interpretation into English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and on your screen you'll see a button at the bottom where you'll see the different channels for the languages. The chat is open and we have a section for questions and answers, so you can leave your questions on the chat, and later on the moderators will be discussing your questions at the end of the event. So this webinar is being recorded and will be shared on our website on UNP file, and you'll see the address on the chat. We'll also be sharing the presentations that we'll see today and the upcoming sessions also, and the recordings of the upcoming webinars. We remind you that for all of the people participating in those 5 webinars, will receive an assistance and attendance certificate. So now I'll kick off by opening the floor to Lucia Gaitan, Senior Officers of Finance in Motion from Colombia, and she'll be speaking about circular economy and its importance in the transition path to net zero emissions. And we'll see how we complement these financial solutions, customers to complement each other and find solutions to challenges and obstacles in transition. Lucia, please.
Muchas gracias, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Carolina. So now I'll share my screen. And please confirm me that you can see it.
Perfecto,
We can
perfecto. No,
see.
bueno, pues buenos días para todos, buenas
All
tardes.
right. Good morning, good
En otras
afternoon to
latitudes.
those that
Primero que
are
todo,
in other
agradecerle
countries.
a UNEP
First
FI
of all,
nuevamente por la
thanks
invitación,
to UNEP
por la participación
FI
en este webinar
for
y
inviting me to
bueno, porque nos siguen
participate on this
invitando
webinar
a todos
and
estos
for
temas
the
que son tan
support
importantes
that
para
they
el
give
mandato
to all of
del
these very
Ecobusiness Fund y
important
porque
topics
somos
about the
financiamientos.
Ecobusiness Fund and its
Pues en esta
mandates.
ocasión, como Carolina lo decía, quiero
Today, as
contarles
Carolina
un poco
said, I'd like
sobre
to
lo que
talk
estamos
to you
haciendo en
about
este,
what we
en
are
el tema
doing
de economía
uh,
circular y
in the fund about
específicamente
circular economy and
transición hacia el cero
specifically in the
net. Y
transition
básicamente cómo estamos
path to
apoyando
net
nuestras
zero in
instituciones
emissions
financieras
and
en
how
los
we are
clientes
supporting our
para abandonar las
financing
soluciones a sus
institutions and
desafíos y
their
las barreras de
customers,
la transición.
clients
Y
to
aquí me voy a enfocar en el
find
Ecobusiness
solutions
Fund.
to challenges and
Me
obstacles
tomo
in
solo unos segundos
in
para no
transition. So
dejar por
I'll be
fuera
speaking about
a
the
nuestro fondo más nuevo,
um,
la Green,
our
quien es
fund, our
el primer fondo
Ecobusiness Fund,
dedicado exclusivamente
and
al
there's
financiamiento
also
de emisión de
another
bonos verdes para
fund
Latinoamérica
specialized in
y
the
que dentro de su
issuing
mandato
of
también
green
está
bonds in
el
Latin America,
financiamiento o
and
el
it has
apoyo
as a mandate
a la emisión de bonos verdes
supporting
enfocados en
the
economía circular.
issuing
Este fondo
of
todavía
green
cuenta con
bonds
que lleva muy
focused
poquito
on
en operación y
circular
por eso todavía
economy.
no
It's a
tiene mucho que
very
contar en estos
new
temas,
fund. We don't
pero
have
seguramente
much
en unos años
to
vamos a
tell you about
contarles
this,
también
but
qué estamos
in a couple of
haciendo
years, maybe we'll be
en todo
able
el
to
tema de
tell you what we're
de
doing
bonos verdes.
related to green bonds.
Entonces, con esto, pues contarles un poco
So,
sobre el Ecobusiness
having
Fund
said
para quienes
this,
no
only
lo
a little bit about
conozcan.
the Ecobusiness
El
Fund.
Ecobusiness Fund es uno de los 6
So, this
fondos
is one of the
asesorados
6
por varios
funds
países en su
being
categoría activos
assessed
de impacto.
by
El
Business in
Ecobusiness Fund fue
Motion.
creado en el
The
2015
Ecobusiness
por el
Fund started
KfW,
back
que
in
es el Comité
2015 by
Internacional, con el
KfW and
objetivo de
International
brindar
Conservation
financiamiento
with
y
the aim
asistencia
to
técnica
provide
para
financing,
que
technical
contribuyeran o promovieran
assistance
prácticas
to
comerciales
promote
y empresariales
commercial activities
que
and
contribuyeran a los
entrepreneurial
tres
activities
pilares
that
del
contribute
fondo,
to
que es
three
la
pillars
conservación de
of
la
the fund:
biodiversidad, la
conservation of
protección de los
biodiversity, the
recursos
sustainable
naturales
use of
y
natural
la mitigación
resources,
y la
and
adaptación al cambio
mitigation and
climático
adaptation to
tanto en
climate
Latinoamérica, el
change in
Caribe
Latin
y
America and the
Australia.
Caribbean and the
Y
sub-Saharan
digamos que
Africa.
dada esta misión tan ambiental, como pueden ver,
So this
enfocada en el
environmental
análisis y la
mission is
conservación,
focused
pues
on
el fondo
conservation finances,
digamos que dirige todos estos recursos a
and
cuatro
all of
sectores
these
prioritarios que los ven
resources
ahí.
have four
Agro, todos
priority
los temas forestales,
areas:
pesca, acuicultura y
agriculture,
turismo. Y
silviculture,
recientemente también
fishery,
ampliamos un
aquaculture, and
poco,
tourism, and we are
digamos que el
expanding
alcance
the
de esos
scope
sectores y fue como
of
integrar
these
la cadena de valor
areas,
junto
and
al
we
tema de
integrated the
economía circular, que
value
se basa
chain, and
fundamentalmente
the
en lo que
circular economy is
organiza.
fundamental for this.
Pues nosotros somos principalmente un fondo de
So
deuda.
we are mainly
Nuestros
a
inversionistas son
debt
tanto el
fund, and
sector
our
público como
investments
privado.
come from
Y solo
the
para
public and
contarles
private
un poco la estructura
sectors.
del fondo, ellos invierten
And
en el
this is
fondo
the
y
structure. So
nosotros
they invest in
desde
our
financiamiento,
fund,
asistencia
and
técnica,
these finance and
apuntamos
technical
a donde vamos
assistance
a
we
poder
provided to
a las
two
instituciones
specific
financieras.
areas:
Creo que más del
the
90% de nuestro portafolio
fin-
está enfocado en este momento a
financial
instituciones
institutions,
financieras,
and our fund
pero
is
también a
focused
empresas
on them,
corporativas
and
en
also
estos cuatro
to
sectores.
some
Y bueno,
corporations
que estas
that are
instituciones
in those
financieras pues
four
también
sectors.
redirijan
And
estos
these
recursos
financial
a lo que llamamos
institutions
el otro
should
grupo objetivo, son los
redirect
clientes, clientes
to
finales, como
these
les digo.
funds
Entonces
to the
estos son los
final
empresas o
clients,
productores en estos cuatro
companies,
sectores
producers in
de
those
nuestro
four
mandato.
areas
Y
of
de
our
forma paralela,
mandate.
este
And
programa de asistencia técnica
parallelly, we have the technical
funciona a
assistance
través de
program
donaciones,
that
en mi
works
caso,
by
como casi todas nuestras
receiving
donaciones de Europa
donations
también, y
from
Rica,
Europe,
quienes
specifically from
donan
public
ese dinero para
institutions
que
in
nosotros
there,
invirtamos ese dinero
and
en
they
proyectos
donate
para que esa
that
inversión
money
luego se
so we
transfiera a nuestros
can
fondos y ayuden a
leverage
estos clientes
our
a caminar
mission,
esa ruta de la
and
sostenibilidad.
so we can
Y
provide
pues bueno,
help
la presentación
to
no iba a
our
enfocar mucho en lo que
clients
estamos
and
haciendo y qué hacemos
customers.
en
I would like
Colombia
to
para
focus
ayudarle a nuestros
this
clientes
presentation on the
a
technical
poder afrontar esas
assistance
barreras y a poder
to our
transicionar mejor hacia el
customers
sostenible.
so they can transition better
Solo
to
para
that net
dejarles algunas
zero
cifras
path
claves del
and
fondo.
overcome obstacles. Some
Pues ese fondo, como
key
les dije, que inició en
figures of
2015,
this fund: we
como ven,
started back in
muy específico
2015
a todos estos
as a
factores
fund, and it's very
ambientales o de suelo.
specific to these
Y bueno,
areas. For
ya a la fecha
example,
hemos
land use,
sobrepasado la
and up
cartera,
to
ya
date,
creo que estamos
we
por los 630
have
millones,
around
trabajando en 14 países,
630 millions
toda la
as
región de
a
Centroamérica,
portfolio, working
norte de
in 14
Sudamérica,
countries
trabajando con
in the
35
north area
instituciones
of South
financieras.
America, and
Ser un
working with
fondo de de
35
impacto, pues toda
financial
el
institutions. And
financiamiento pues tiene un
our
elemento
environmental impact,
core, que es lo más importante, es
our fund has
nosotros
a
poder
core,
reportar
which is
anualmente
very
estos
important,
indicadores de
and we
impacto, y aquí
report
pueden ver
those
un poco
impact
cómo a través
indicators, and you
de
can
las metodologías
see
que usamos y los
how by
tenemos
using our
liderazgo
methodologies and
digamos,
the
para los
different
recursos a nuestros clientes, pues podemos
policies that we have
saber
and
que
we
podemos
offer to
estas
our
cifras
customers, we can
de
show
las
you
tierras
these
cultivadas
figures
más
of the
sostenible
cultivated
o la
land
forma en que vamos
using
ahorrando, bueno,
sustainable
esto claramente
techniques
todos
on
que lo
the
necesitamos
save
evitar.
waters and the
Entonces, estoy de
CO2
acuerdo con la
that
introducción del
we are
fondo
avoiding. This is the
y
introduction of the fund.
abrebocas y para entrar un poco ya en el tema de economía
And
circular,
to start talking
pues
about
como les
circular
contaba,
economy, as I was
nos
telling
enfocamos en estos
you,
cuatro
we are
sectores que les
focusing
comentaba, muy
on
enfocados en lo
these
que es el uso
four
del suelo,
areas,
pero
the
lo
land
empezamos a
use,
ampliar a la
and
cadena de
also
valor,
we
porque
are
obviamente también
expanding
sabemos
this
que
to
no
the
solamente la
value
producción
chains
es
because
manejar todo
we
lo que ocurre
know
después,
that
que
not only
también
the
tiene
primary
que ver
production
con
and everything
pues
related
mejorar todas las
to
prácticas
the
y
improvement
apelar
of
tanto a los
practices
ODS
and the
como
support of the
al Acuerdo de París y a
SG,
todas estas iniciativas
SGDs and
que
the
nos pueden
Paris
crecer para
Agreement and
poder
all of the
pues
initiatives
continuar en el
that
largo
we are
plazo
taking into
tanto al
consideration
sistema
to
financiero, al
keep
sector
on
económico y a nosotros como
providing
sociedad.
support in the
Y es
long
por
term
eso
to the
que
financial
al
sector, to
ampliar
our
este, digamos,
clients, customers,
este
and
alcance
by
dentro de la cadena de
expanding
valor, pues
this scope in the value
digamos que
chain,
aprobamos nuevos sellos de sostenibilidad
we
que
are
podemos
approving new
apoyar a
sustainability
nuestros clientes a
seals
obtenerlo o les podemos dar
because we are
financiamiento para que
providing
ya
we are
tengan. Y
to our
como ven, estos
customers
sellos que están muy
by
enfocados a estándares de
helping
sostenibilidad,
them
que
to
están muy
obtain
enfocados a las cadenas de
different
valor,
loans
la
and focusing
ISO,
on the value
huella de
chains, the
carbono, huella
ISO, the
hídrica,
carbon footprint, the
también la
hydric
FSC y la
footprint,
gran custodia. Entonces es cómo
the
llegamos también hasta ese
FSC,
último
and the
consumidor. Entonces
custody
tenemos temas
chain.
también de empaques,
So we are in the
tenemos
packaging
también temas de
area,
conservación
final
del agua,
customer
coordinación de
efficiency,
residuos
and
y lo mismo con
water
las medidas internacionales.
preservation
Entonces,
and
como
other
hemos empezado a entrar
measures.
también en este tema de economía
So
circular
that's
desde
how
el
we started
financiamiento
by
y pues
being
aquí les
involved
mostramos
in
un
the
poco pues
circular
esta estrategia
economy. And you
ya
can
digamos
see
en ese
some of the
sector
technical assistance that we are
digamos que de
doing.
manera más contundente. Entonces, digamos que ya entrando más en el tema del cero neto
So speaking
y
about
de
the
este tema
net zero and
específicamente,
technical
porque pues ahí ya
assistance
queremos entrar un poco
specifically,
más
because
en
I
en
already
el tema
show
del
you how
financiamiento,
we are
hay,
doing it from
digamos
the
que tres
funding
pilares
perspective. We
en los
have
cuales
three
nosotros
pillars
contribuimos a
where
Colombia
we
bajar.
contribute
El
to a
primero son
low
los
carbon
proyectos que
economy.
desarrollamos con
Economy. The
nuestras
first
entidades financieras
is the
y
projects
aquí
with
desarrollamos
our
es categorizar su
financial
portafolio o
entities.
encontrar
We
cuál es la
help them
ruta y
to
cómo llegar a esas
expand
metas
their
de su portafolio.
portfolio, how to
Pero también hacemos
decarbonize their
proyectos con los
portfolio.
clientes
We
finales, que
also
son
do
los
projects with
clientes de
the
estas
final
entidades financieras,
customers,
a medida que
customers and
logren
clients of these financial
convertir su foco en
institutions
carbono
to
neutro. Y
measure
el
to
tercer pilar, pues
carbon
es todo el tema
footprint.
sectorial,
And
pero como
also
ya
we have
comentaba, este
the
tipo de
third pillar,
proyectos,
our sector,
otros webinars y otros talleres que
such,
también
for
brindamos al
example,
sector,
this webinar, other
para
webinars
que
that
pues cada vez
we
más esto ya sea un
give to
tema
other
más
areas, so
recurrente,
we can talk more
esto
about this
también
topic
se vea como una oportunidad
and
de
to
negocio, que no
see
sea
this as a
solamente un
business
tema de
opportunity and
sostenibilidad
not
ambiental,
only
sino que
a
también sea un tema de
sustainability topic,
sostenibilidad
but
financiera
a financial
que se vea que
sustainability
sí los
topic.
negocios
So
efectivamente
you can
pueden
see that
encontrar
businesses can
rentabilidad
find
en este tipo de negocios. Entonces, el
profitability in
primer,
these businesses.
digamos que proyecto que les quiero mostrar de
So this is the
financiación
first
desde
project that I'd like
asesoramiento
to
es la
show
ruta
you, technical
enfocada en
assistance
entidades financieras,
focused
y
on
es cómo
financial
apoyamos a
institutions.
quienes
Is
se
we
convierten en
provide
signatarios
support
de dos
to
iniciativas
those that are
medioambientales muy importantes que
signatories
tienen que ver con el cero neto,
to the
que son los
important
principios de
initiatives that we
banca
have.
responsable y el Net
So
Zero
this is
Banking Alliance. Y aquí lo que
the
hacemos es
principles of
apoyar a la institución financiera
responsible banking
a
and the need
identificar
zero
las
banking
brechas
alliances. We
las
diagnose
prácticas
the
que
gaps,
actualmente
the
no se están
practices
implementando
that they
dentro
are
de sus
implementing
portafolios.
nowadays in their portfolios.
Priorizamos un poco
Then
las
we
acciones de estas
prioritize
prácticas, hacemos
actions of those
este
practices,
benchmark básicamente
and we do
con
a
las instituciones
benchmark with
financieras que
the
están mucho
financial
más avanzadas en
institutions
las
that are
materias.
more advanced
Ahí
in
desarrollamos
these
un plan de
topics.
acción
We also
y
develop
apoyamos a la
an
institución
action
financiera pues
plan,
a
and we
fijar las
support the
metas y
financial
los objetivos
institutions so they can
muy
set
claros
their
de cómo pueden cumplir
goals and
con todos
objectives.
esos
So in
principios, tanto del
5 more
Net Zero
years, they can comply
de
with
banca
those
responsable,
principles
qué
of
acciones tienen que
responsible
hacer por año,
banking, net zero, and the
básicamente
yearly actions
a
that they need to
qué departamento le
perform,
corresponde y cómo
which department
puede
needs
venir
to
el
do that,
implemento.
and
Entonces,
how they
ahí
have
muy
to
pequeño se ve
implement
un poco
those actions.
cómo lo
You can
estamos
see
dividiendo,
here how we are
por
dividing
temas,
it.
por
We
cada principio,
divide it by
las acciones que están
topic,
priorizadas por
principle,
cada
and the
tema, el
actions that we are
responsable, el
doing
impacto,
every
el
year, the
cuáles son
impact
los
that we are
recursos que se
generating, the
necesitan,
resources
los
that we
KPIs
need,
a los que se están
the
atacando.
KPIs that
Un
we are
ejemplo de cómo se
focusing
puede
on,
implementar
and
basado
some
en nosotros fue
examples
el de las
of
instituciones
how we
más
can
avanzadas que tal
implement
vez ya
these,
les estoy
taking into
diciendo,
consideration the
y la duración
benchmarking
del
of the
plan de
advanced
acción. Entonces,
institutions and
digamos que
the
esta es una manera
duration of have the
la
action.
institución
So this is a
financiera
way
tiene una
for the
ruta de
financial
cómo puede
institution to have
dirigirse
a route
hacia ese net
to
zero
go to
o
that net
hacia la
zero
meta de ese
or
objetivo
to
como
that
tienen,
goal objective
y
that they
así
have,
pueden tomar acción
and they can
el
take
año entrante
actions in the year one, for
reforzar tal
example,
tema o otro
they
tema.
reinforce
Y el
that
objetivo
topic
más
or
adelante
another
es
one,
poder
and
seguir apoyándolos en
then
temas
we
específicos que hayan salido en
can
las
keep
planeaciones. Entonces,
providing
por
support to
ahora es
them.
como darles una ruta y un plan de acción y
Well,
a
we have an
veces
action
digamos
plan,
que es
and then
fundamental el primer
what
paso
is
porque son
the first step is
muchas
fundamental because
iniciaciones.
sometimes
En
we
su
have
hambre
sort of a
con tantas
we
iniciativas
want to
se vuelve un
comply
sanatorio,
with
pero
so many
aún
initiatives,
el
but we have to
intervencional
give
puede
priorities. But
ensimismarse y poder
we
destruir
have to
como socialismo sistémico.
fulfill
Entonces creo que
what
es como un
we
primer paso que
have
estamos
established as our
desarrollando y ya de
mission. We
pronto
have developing
desarrollado en
all
varias de
this,
nuestras
and we have
actividades.
worked
Otra manera que
quite
estamos
a lot with this.
apoyando
Well, the
a
other
nuestras
way we can
instituciones
support our
financieras a
institutions
alcanzar en sus portafolios activos
for net
hacia ese
zero is to
objetivo
support them to develop
productos financieros verdes.
their
Y esto obviamente
financial
apoya la transición
products
porque son
for their
líneas dedicadas
producers. This is that dedicated lines
digamos que
for
rubros
funding
y
and for
proyectos
what areas and
que
projects
reduzcan
that
las emisiones
really
de las
reduce
actividades
emissions of
que
these
comúnmente se
activities
realizan en los
that
sectores
are
de
normally
producción
carried out in
verdes.
the sectors we
Este es un
expect
ejemplo que
from.
estamos
These
haciendo
are
con uno de nuestros clientes en Ecuador.
examples
Es un
in
producto
what we're doing
financiero
in
verde
Ecuador,
enfocado en el
which
sector
is financing products,
primario,
green financing
básicamente
products that
para hacer
support a
como una
transition.
reconversión energética
So
de esa
there's an
electricidad
energy reconversion that has
energías
to be
fósiles
used
y no
to
renovables
change
a
from
energías eléctricas que básicamente pues ahí
fossil
ya podemos
energy
hablar
to
de una
renewable
reconversión energética
energy,
y también de sistemas de
and
irrigación.
also
Entonces,
if
parte
a
de
more
nuestro crecimiento
efficient
del producto verde fue
irrigation
desarrollar
system.
un
So
etiquetado
this
verde de todas sus
we want to
carteras,
have a green label in all the
poder
different
básicamente ver
portfolios where
las
basically
emisiones
we
que
see the
están
emissions that
evitando
are
y el agua que se está
being
ahorrando
eliminated and the
si
water
cambiamos
that
de
is being
combustibles como
saved
a
and
eléctricos
replacing
o otro tipo
fossil
de energía como paneles
energy
solares o otro tipo de
for
energía
other
renovable. Y lo mismo
kind of renewable energy,
con
which
con
could
el
be
ahorro de agua
solar
o el riego
and
eficiente
saving
para hacer
water
regeneración.
through
Entonces, esta línea
good
muy pronto saldrá ya al mercado
irrigation.
para
In the
nuestros
future, we will
clientes y es
have in
básicamente
the
es
future
apoyar
for our
también
clients
tanto a la entidad financiera como a esos
support
clientes a encontrar una manera más
to
eficiente
see a
de
more
poder
efficient
descarbonizar
way
también sus
to
actividades para poder
decarbonize
llegar
activities
más
in order to get
a este
to
cero
these
neto.
to this
Y ya pasando
net
más a
zero
los proyectos que estamos
emissions. And then we
realizando con
have the
los clientes
projects
de
we are
sus
carrying out with
entidades
our
financieras y
clients,
clientes
with our
financieros.
financial institutions,
Un paso
because
es, bueno,
one
darles la
step is
planificación, la
to
cantidad
provide
financiera,
an
cómo
action
tiene que ser,
plan in terms of
pero para eso
financing.
es
But here
sustentable
we
también, se
need
tiene que descarbonizar y ahí también tienen que
to
haber
have
incentivos para
them
esos
to
clientes
reduce their
de qué maneras
emissions
también
and
ven
how
que es
they
importante que
can
nuestras industrias
understand
descarbonizaran.
why this is so important to
Es un
decarbonize.
ejemplo
Well,
que
this is an
estamos haciendo en ese
example that
mismo
we
escenario con
are
uno de
doing
nuestros
in
clientes
the
finales en
forestry
Ecuador,
sector in Ecuador.
básicamente para
Basically,
asegurarnos de nuestras
here
emisiones y el
we
objetivo es
see
poder
have to reduce
secuestrar ese carbono neutro.
emissions
La
to
primera
get to a
asociación es con
carbon
una empresa
neutral
forestal
environment. This
en
is a
donde los
forestry
estamos apoyando a
company
implementar
where
un
we are
sistema
supporting
de
them to
carbono
implement
en neutralidad en donde estamos viendo
the
las
program
emisiones
with this carbon neutrality.
stock de carbono
We
de
have
las
a
plantaciones
carbon stock
forestales y zonas de
here in
conservación
this
y
areas.
también estamos apoyándolos a
We have also
desarrollar
supporting them
carbono
to
bajo
measure
los
their
alcances uno y
carbon
2 y
footprint
aquí pues
for the
lo que
scope 1 or
esperamos es
2.
que
And here we expect
digamos,
really
dada la cantidad de
to
plantaciones,
given the amount of
estos van a ser
plantations they
positivos
are carrying
en el
out.
sentido
These are going to be very
que van a tener un
positive
surplus de
in
carbono
terms
por todo lo
of
que recogen y el
carbon
objetivo es que
sequestration they
en el
will
futuro ellos
achieve.
puedan obtener su carbono neutralidad. Aquí también los estamos
And
apoyando
obviously
a
their
obtener
carbon
la
neutrality in
ISO,
order to
que está
obtain the
enfocada a la
ISO
huella de
that is
carbono
focused on the carbon
y sobre todo el
footprint,
tema de capacitación que es muy
especially
importante.
training,
La
which is
empresa
very important as well. The company is very
está invirtiendo
interested
en temas de sostenibilidad
in
y
building
sabe
all
que
this
uno de los
sustainability
objetivos más importantes es
area,
este
which
tema
is here we
de
have an
saber su
important
huella
point,
ambiental,
which
no
is
solo
that
quedarse
they
con
have
eso,
to
sino
know their
básicamente
footprint, the
ellos
carbon
van a tener
footprint,
este surplus
and they will
por
have to have it will have to have
por el tema
the
de sus
software
plantaciones y
and
sus áreas
having
de conservación y
their
también la
conservation areas.
sostenibilidad
But the idea
básica
is to
para que
have a
cada año
baseline,
ellos encuentren dónde
and they
proveer
have to see where they
más
can
emisiones
reduce their
en
emissions.
la manera en que
It's
están,
the way they
digamos
are
que haciendo la reconversión de la madera en ya en maderas
reconverting
de
the
MDF
lumber
o
into
la acera que están
boards
también produciendo.
and
Entonces,
all
realmente
the
es como
materials they are
un primer paso
producing.
para
This is the
cada
first
año poder
step.
ponerse una meta más
So every
alta
year
y,
we can get
digamos que
to
utilizar de una manera más
greater
eficiente los recursos,
objectives to
utilizar
use
menos
more
combustibles
efficiently the
fósiles para hacer todas esas
resources
reconversiones, pero
and
la valor
reconverting the
y la
fossil
verdad tiene una
fuels
huella
into
de
renewable
carbono mucho más alta.
energy to
Entonces, ese es
have a
como
lower
otro excelente
carbon
que hacemos ya
emissions.
más directamente
And
con los
this is
clientes.
what we are doing together
Y
with the clients.
el último con el
And
que quería
the,
cerrar
the,
es
the
un
last
poco
thing
las
I want to
iniciativas
tell you was
sectoriales que
that
a
we
los
have
que les
sectorial
comentaba.
initiatives.
Creemos
As
que
I
son
said before, we
fundamentales
believe that they are very
para
important
apoyar el sector
to
en
support the
general
sector in general
y digamos que para
and
un poco crear esta
to
conciencia de que
create
tenemos
this
que
awareness,
entrar
because it's
en
important
estas economías,
to get into these new
los multilaterales,
economies.
los
Multilateral
inversionistas están
economies, the
buscando
investors
financiar
are
este
looking
tipo de
for
economías
financing these kind of
y estos eran un poco
economies.
los ejemplos
And
de
these are the
buenos apoyos.
examples
Aquí
on
ya
how
son
we are
varias
supporting
los,
them.
digamos que los apoyos sectoriales que hacemos
So the
desde hace
sectorial
unos años, más
support
específicamente desde el
also
UNEP de la sostenibilidad,
specifically is
estuvimos
related to
también
sustainability.
participando y
We
patrocinando
participated
en
and
los webinars de
sponsoring
las,
in different webinars
que tuvieron que ver con los principios de
that
bancos
have to do with
responsables muy al
the
inicio,
uh,
que se lanzaron los
responsibility we
principios,
have to do with the environment,
haciendo como talleres y
and
apoyando a los
having
clientes en
workshops
identificar cada
supporting
uno de los
them
principios, el principio 2, que es el
and
principio de
enhancing all the
transformar y
different
reforzar el
principles
sistema de
have to
residuos
have the
cero.
impact
También
on the
hacemos webinars
environment.
sobre
And there
estos
are the
temas que
webinars
también
with
tienen que ver
topics that have to do
obviamente con el tema de economía cero.
with
Y pues ahora estamos también con una
uh,
nueva
net zero
serie de
economy,
webinars
and
enfocados
also other
en financiamiento de la
webinars
economía circular
focused on circular
estamos también pues
economy.
participando
And we are
en este
participating
webinar para
in
hablar un
this
poco sobre nuestra
webinar to
misión
speak
de
about what
Ecobusiness
we are
Fund. Entonces,
doing.
pues
And
con esto
well, with
realmente
this,
ya quisiera cerrar.
I would
Pues
like to
aquí quedan mis
close.
contactos
And also
con
here
tanto
I
para que
show my
tengan
contacts. If you
preguntas
want to get in touch with me, if you
sobre
have any
temas de
questions,
fondo, qué es lo que
I
hacemos en
can
temas de
answer
financiamiento,
all the
temas de
questions
asistencia técnica
and all the
y
technical
invitarlos un
support
poco a que
if
dado
it
esta
is
conexión
necessary.
estamos buscando este
And
tipo
we
de
are looking for
instituciones y
this
este
kind of
tipo de
financial
empresas que estén
institutions and
interesadas
companies that are
en entrar a
interested
todos estos
in getting
temas.
into these
Existen
topics.
estos fondos,
And there are
ahí
these
creo que vemos
funds
también que
available. We have shown
esa
already
cartera
with this
demostramos que sí,
portfolio. We
sí
showed
existimos
that
en el mercado, que
if
sí
we
podemos
are
ser
present in the market,
sostenibles en
we
el tiempo
can be sustainable a long
y
time.
que estamos acá para
And
quedarnos
we
mucho
are
más tiempo
here to stay for a long
financiando y
period of time
apoyándolos desde asistencia
and
técnica también
supporting
para
them
ayudarlos
with technical
pues a
assistance
llegar a ese
to help
segmento y a
you
cada
to
vez más promover más estas
be
economías para ese
able to
cambio. Entonces, pues
promote
muchas gracias
the low carbon
y
economies. Thank you very much for your
quedamos
attention.
a la orden para cualquier pregunta que
And
tengan
any
durante el
questions you may
webinar y
have,
después
I'm glad to
durante
answer them at the end of the
posteriormente.
webinar
Gracias.
or through
Estupendo. Muchísimas
your
gracias, Lucía,
emails.
por tu
Lucia, thank you very
excelente
much for your
presentación.
excellent presentation.
Y bueno, de hecho, hemos
And in
recibido una
fact, we have
pregunta
received a
en la
question
sección de
here
preguntas y
in
respuestas.
this section of
Y la pregunta es
Q&A
si el Ecobusiness
section.
Fund
The
asiste a
business
Panamá.
funds, it helps Panama as well.
Sí, nosotros actualmente
Yes,
tenemos
we at
clientes en
present
Panamá.
have clients in Panama,
Es un país
and
que
it's a
está queriendo salir
country
de la
that
lista de
wants to get
países en los que
out
podemos
of the
operar,
list of the countries we want to
pero hasta donde
operate.
entiendo
But
todavía es un país
it's a
elegible
country that is
y
still
estamos
eligible,
viendo
and we
conseguir
are
financiamiento allí.
thinking
Entonces,
about a
creería que
fund
todavía es
for
posible y
them.
sí
So I
entiendo
think it's
que
still
tal vez
possible
puede que salga de
that
la lista.
maybe
Y
the
bueno,
country may get out of the
la
list
persona, la
of the
institución que esté
countries.
interesada y
The
que esté en
institution
Panamá
that is
puede ya
interested in
contactarnos
Panama
y
can
podemos
contact
organizar
us and get in
seguimiento
touch
de
with us
gestiones para que ellos sean
so
los
we
que definan
can
si todavía
help
creería
them.
que este año
And I believe
podemos
that
operar en Panamá.
this year we can still operate in Panama.
Estupendo, muy bien. Muchísimas
Thank
gracias,
you
Lucía,
thank you
por
very
toda
much,
tu
Lucia.
presentación muy
Your
comprensiva y
presentation was
realmente
very good and
es
very
un placer
complete.
poder
It's a
colaborar
pleasure,
con el
really,
Ecobusiness Fund, con
talking about
Finance
eco-business
en tantas
and all these
actividades,
topics, so many
entre
activities,
ellas de
and among
sensibilización y
them the
capacitación, ¿no?
sensibilization
Como
and
ejemplo el que
training
has
also
estado
as well,
realizando ahora.
and we are
Y
carrying out.
vamos a continuar
Now we
a
will
continuación
continue
con la
with
agenda y
our
tenemos
agenda,
la
and we
siguiente
have
sección
here
donde vamos a
the following
contar con
section.
una
We will have
presentación
a
de
presentation
Camila
of
Guimarães.
Camila
Ella es
Guimarães.
coordinadora de
She's
proyectos del
coordinator of
Instituto
projects from
Escolias en
Instituto
Brasil
Escolias from
y nos va a estar
Brazil,
exponiendo
and
sobre
she's going to talk
el
about
panorama legislativo para
the
promover la economía
perspective, legal
circular para
perspective
América
for
Latina y el
circular economy
Caribe
for
y
America,
vamos a
Latin America, and
conocer
the Caribbean,
el aprendizaje,
in
desafíos
all
y
learning
oportunidades.
challenges and
Ella va a estar
opportunities. She
acompañada
will be
por
together
Beatriz
with
Luz,
Beatriz Luz,
fundadora y
who's
directora de Exchange
the
for
founder
Change,
and director
Brasil,
of
aunque ambas
Exchange for
representan a
Change,
Camila,
also from
y
Brazil.
ambas han estado
And
realizando
both
trabajo
have
muy
been
importante en torno a
working on a
convertirse
very important
regional sobre
mission
la
in region in terms of circular economy in different sectors and different environments. And I give the floor to Camila Guimarães.
Obrigada, Carolina. Bom dia a todos e todas. Obrigado, primeiramente, por participar, por nos convidar para participar desse painel. Parabenizar a iniciativa e a...
I'd like to congratulate you for the initiative and the process of engagement of different stakeholders of this transition for a circular economy. As the theme says, it is a key element for us to diminish the carbon, the CO2 emissions. And this program was developed with Exchange for Change, and we developed a study on this scenery, and I'd like to mention some of the challenges and the opportunities that we have. I believe the agenda will complement little the experiences we've heard from Mexico and Costa Rica, and we can discuss some of the sceneries in South American countries. I'd like to start by bringing some data. The renewable energy is not enough for us to achieve the net zero, and zero our emission and circular economy is the starting point and opportunity for us to zero in the emission. So the new behavior of consumers, we can see the estimates of the study. According to the study, 9 billion of emissions can be reduced through circular economy. And for us to properly perform this transition, for us to complete this figure, we need to essentially transform the way we project, produce, and use food products. And it's important for us to remember in these webinars that involving financial institutions is crucial for us to contribute to this economy. So we start from a challenge. How can we engage governments in this agenda? We have compromise, we have pacts and actions that are being developed to make this compromises easier and for us to be able to execute them. So we have practical actions that such governments could do for us to understand what we could do as a group and on our own to reduce the emissions. And BID brings different data that goes beyond the environmental sustainability. We also have to think of economic sustainability of this country. So BID showed in its study, showed that it could increase the revenue of such countries by 2 or 4%. So changes can also lead to financial resource to such countries. And that can be a tool for us to reduce the emissions and to incorporate such initiatives has to be done because we are far behind of our potential. We could be doing a lot more to reduce the emissions and focusing in our studies and thinking of the reasons why we built this law panorama in Latin America. We have to understand what were the practices ongoing in such countries. So we selected 7 countries that were already engaged in circular economy. They already had actions and policies for this model, and we understand that this has been getting more and more attention in South America and political support. We noticed that in 2019, there were 80 public initiatives towards this transition to change the model of production. So the panorama, the scenery we are introducing, it stems from the idea that we already have some positive transition. We have challenges and we have opportunities as well as benefits that could come. So we could generate 4.8 billion new jobs, million of new jobs. We can generate new opportunities for circular businesses business, and the benefit is clear. But we need financial tools and policies that can accelerate such transition. Because, as I said at first, it is urgent for us to do such transition so we can promote a circular ecosystem. So we have been using, there are climate actions for us to implement, and we need a change in the system, and we need the collaboration of different stakeholders for this movement. And in a general panorama, so looking at Latin America as a whole,
estimulam a economia circular, a gente dividiu em 3 grandes grupos, que são, primeiro, marcos nacionais de economia circular. Então, programas dedicados especificamente à economia circular, leis e políticas
we have programs that are dedicated to circular economy. We have bioeconomy and strategies and policies. There is a second group with the goal to include the circulation of products, and they will evaluate the design of products. And
legais baseados em infraestrutura e gestão de resíduos, taxas de reciclagem, que tem uma visão mais se refere à economia circular, mas não usam a visão mais ampla e clara do conceito. Então, o que a gente pode observar?
So what we can see is, judging by the green tickets, these are countries that already incorporated measures of incorporation of green initiatives. The blue tickets mark countries that have measures and that are still implementing. And in red, you see what our survey says, that we could not identify tools regarding such policies. So what we can understand from this general picture is that there is a circular transition, there is the formalization of compromises and initiatives of such governments. South America is striving towards circularity, and the policies we have and local regulations allow is that there are deadlines for us to do this transition, and we see Chile and Costa Rica spearheading such transition, and they already have indicators for the circular economy. So I'd like to highlight a few things that will be interesting for us to discuss with the policy developers in such countries. So we'll speak of the way the implementation was done. So I'll speak of my country first. Brazil is a leader in academic service in South America. So it's been developing surveys for a national routine of circular economy, and it is spearheading discussions involving government and other stakeholders in civil society to discuss this and to discuss norms for the circular economy, as well as programs for bioeconomy. So enjoying the specific aspects of each country, and that is important when we speak of transitioning towards circular economy. The second country we identified is Chile. Chile is spearheading, and there are specific contributions for circular economy. They already have indexes in their NDCs. They have a national script, a routine for circular economy, and the national strategy for residuals, and especially in organic matter in construction, in the construction industry. The third country we've learned from was Colombia, because it's the first country in South America that has a national strategy of circular economy. So they're mitigating climate changes in industry and the reduction of residuals in construction industry, and they recognize the circular economy as a vital tool for the mitigation and to diminish emission of greenhouse gas. Fourth country is Costa Rica. They're also leaders. From the very first day they entered the OCDE, and they also include, among the 7 lines, four of them include strategies and metrics for circular economy, infrastructure and construction industry, commerce and services, management of residuals, and agriculture. So within their strategy that is still waiting for approval, they highlight this. And since 2019, they implement actions for residuals of electronic products to properly dispose of these products. In Dominican Republic, we highlight their action. They have the motivation, but they do not yet have metrics to measure it. And the economy is based on 3 main goals: the development of a data bank of recovering of materials, development of strategies to promote circular economy, and different practices have been implemented through the national law of residual waste management. They also have taxes to reduce such waste. When we speak of Mexico, what we could highlight is that they mention the national strategy of circular economy as an opportunity for the cooperation among industries. So they've approved a law in 2020 to improve new production schemes. They also have a law to manage waste. And they also preserve solid waste, deal with the solid waste. When we speak of Peru, we could highlight their national industrial policy. They promote the best practices for the generation and management of industrial waste. They have a law for the integrated management of industrial waste, responsibilizing producers, and they also have laws in the agriculture industry. What can we learn from all of these countries we've introduced here? That there are different challenges that we face when we are implementing new law and new public policies. But first of all, we have to understand the complexity of such challenge. So it's not enough for us to create new law and to make new law that are not being executed, but we also have to incorporate to make possible the transition in such laws. So by the movement of cooperation groups and involving stakeholders all across the industry. So we need strategies. We use strategies to advance circular economy, and we need also a far-reaching view. We need a long-term strategy and maybe increasing the information about this circular economy would be a good strategy. When we speak of education, we have to make campaigns and to incentivize legally the knowledge so we can decrease the consumption, so reduce excessive consumption. And an example, when we look at Chile, they have a platform called País Circular, and they use that to exchange knowledge and to share information.
For your presentation, Camila has given us a perspective very positive from Latin America, and we've seen the situation based on this study of 7 countries in the region. And we've seen that there are 80 public new ideas, programs, as we've seen in the circular economy that generates all, that fosters the economy, and there's a climate change, and there's biodiversity that has been tackled as well, social benefits, creating employment. And she's also said that if public policies are important, that must be efficient, financing, of course, and also technologies, awareness training from public and private enterprises, and taking care of the production and consumption as well. So thank you very much, Camila. And we will move forward with Beatriz. Beatriz, the floor is yours.
Muito bom dia a todos. Somente para aproveitar e concluir, já que a Camila infelizmente se desconectou, né?
Unfortunately, Camila got disconnected, so I'd like to wrap it up. Oh, Camila's back. Well, if she wants to conclude, oh, I'm sorry. Well, when we speak of opportunities, I believe it's worthy for us to mention all 3 opportunities that we identified, and that's how you were about to wrap it up. So about exchanging knowledge, intersectorial strategies, and the circular economy coalition in South America. So go ahead. I'm sorry I lost connection. Thank you, Bea, for complimenting the end of my presentation, just so we can wrap it up, because we can't speak of only challenges when it comes to the transition, but also we need to speak of the debate and how can we speak with other stakeholders for us to achieve this transition. So we've identified the exchange of knowledge. So the countries that are spearheading have the potential to generate knowledge, practices, and experiences. The second is intersectorial strategies, because it's important that the circular economy perspective is adapted and is added to the local law in each country. So we have to implement new law, but that could be a bigger challenge. So we're better off adapting the existing law to include circular economy. And last but not least, we should observe the coalition of circular economy so we can apply the best practices and promote the exchange of knowledge. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Camila and Beatriz. What is the name of this study that you have presented? When will it be published? When and where? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. So the study will be published in October in one of our webinars, and on the coming webinars, we will discuss it further.
That's very good. Well, there's a little bit of noise here that comes from the apartment just next to mine, but while they are working. And then we will follow with our presentation. It's about how incorporate the banks in their business strategies and in the circular economy towards a net zero emission, and how to the necessary steps to decarbonize the business portfolios. Here we have Carolina Restrepo from Colombia. Please, Carolina, the floor is yours. Thank you. Can you please tell me when you can see my screen? No, it's okay. Perfect. Well, good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure being here. And so Carolina Restrepo from Bancolombia, from the Center of Excellence in terms of sustainability. I'm part of this team of circular economy. I'm very happy. And to start with, I would like to tell you that as an organization, Bancolombia has incorporated in this strategy, the sustainability, and we have promoted, and this is all for the welfare of everybody as organization, thanks for the work we've been carried out during quite a few years at a world level. Sustainability is our main focus, and we will show you all the results. We've been the first bank offering these results, and therefore we continue working to bring to the organization the best practices. And this is why we have the circular economy as a topic that becomes a focus within the presidency in terms of sustainability and innovation. And it's defined a team of a work team and an agenda that have been working from 2021, where first we carried out an exercise necessary to understanding, and then concepts in terms of experimentation, and then have a strategy and developing the strategy along the year. At this stage of understanding, you can see what's around the circular economy, what is so important, all related with the climate change and increase the risk in terms of finance that we see. And there's the scarcity of resources, shortages, and all around what came up with the pandemic, bottleneck in terms of the supply chains and value chains. When see the shortages of resources, and we see how the environmental impacts on all the waste, and we see how our competitors are doing with that. So we have to understand all this, and that as a financial entity, we have a role important in defining the policies to provide funding and investing to promote the transition to a circular economy. And we understand all the potential we have here to generate not only millions of dollars, but commercial opportunities, and the great influence we can generate in order to achieve sort of an alignment with the financial sectors, natural resources, and understand finally how after all these findings, we have to redesign the economies and provide all the necessary financing for all the companies that will contribute to the circular economy. And this change will the preservation of the natural resources that will impact the environment. From that understanding, we find we see opportunities where our strategies come up, business models, as I already mentioned. From the circularity, we have new opportunities in the market, focus financial mechanisms, capitalizing their fact of creating value and issuing green bonds, strengthen relation with the clients and the value chains. We have seen how the client values being together, and not only with the financial sectors, but in all the risks that are becoming very important, and all the availability of resources, all related to these initiatives, create more competitiveness. And this circular economy is having more regulations that is mobilizing the topic in the country, but we need more. But we've moved forward in this topic, and this, together with the commitments we have acquired along the climate change and sustainable development, this creates a great opportunity. Well, from this point, we have a circular economy in terms of value, and mainly we are working in 3 action fronts: financing, investments, measurement and data, and circular services. We have divided. We were financing the circular economy for some time already, but with different projects. Now with clean production, where we have to define an exclusive taxonomy for circular economy, or many projects that in the past didn't apply for our sustainable line offered for benefits. Now they can have access to these benefits, and when they have to 2022, you have 200 million pesos that in the past we couldn't finance in the past because they didn't apply it to this line. And so we have to go to the transition of the circular economy. We also had a vertical of works. That's a measurements and data, which has to do with circular intelligence. It's a tool which is our own rating of circularity we're looking for. Well, starting from questions and answers, having the client closer. Probably he doesn't know about circular economy, but he has to understand at what level he is in and what can he do to improve and having a greater level of circularity. This is a tool, quantitative and qualitative at the same time. We have a transfer of knowledge, and the opportunities are identified, and they have to be implemented. And they can also be used to assess the results once the improvements have been implemented from the qualitative and quantitative, as I mentioned. So this is a tool that we have experimented already, and we will obviously be using. The other was circular services. It's another topic. We have our lab of circular economy. We developed this for the transition to circular economy. And then we have challenges because we want to accompany our clients. And as a result, we want to provide opportunities in terms of value chain, which are also circular. And the idea is to have projects with circular impact as well. And now to connect these strategies with our strategy, which is net zero at the moment, of how they complement themselves and they relate themselves. But at the back, we have them separately. But in terms of funding, the group of the bank in Colombia, we are committed to comply with the Paris Agreement and increase our activity where we have presence in different areas. So this includes not only the impact of the direct business we have. We will do this with these 4 components, mainly, as we can see here on the screen. And we have a lineup portfolio of credit with a scenario of 1.5 degrees Celsius, then being with our clients in the climate transition, and then reduce the environmental impact of our operation, and then integrate the climate risk with the risk management. We will do this through the engagement processes and this being together, accompanying our clients in this circular economy. They will offer these services. We have defined we have $45 billion to finance this program. We also have to reduce the impact of our operation in the environment. And here we have the economy has an important role because we have a work plan in terms of circular economy, and then integrate the risk in this, all the environmental risk, what we identify as from the circular economy strategy. Here we have the different visions to integrate. Here we have what we see here as these 5 points to focus on ourselves in the future. And here, the zero strategies, well, focused. What we really want in the future is to we don't not get involved to get involved with the value chain. So the scope 3, and we were greater integration of our strategies. We want to change the vision, to increase it as a value chain, so the solution circularity will be more relevant when we focus better on the value chain that's present. We want to publish the results, but we don't still have a clear vision of the value chain and circular economy. But we have to focus ourselves from the net zero and emissions directly. At the same time, the strategy moves forward in terms of circular and net zero. Now we have clear how we are going to achieve these goals. We will be able to change this vision, not only see the presence as only one unit, but the whole value chain, and then get to solutions of circularity, which are important.
And from the taxonomy, currently we have a definition for it that defines what applies and what we need to consider in the future and what we need to consider for transitioning. This is a taxonomy for transitioning. And obviously, through the metrics that we are getting from our circular economy strategy, the metrics in the indices, being able to translate into tools all of those metrics and expressing it in data with CO2 emissions so we can finally do that strategy integration. So I'm wrapping up. I don't know if you have any questions.
Estupendo. Muchísimas
Great.
gracias, Carolina.
Thank you so much,
Muy buena
Carolina. Uh,
presentación y
your
viendo cómo
presentation was
conecta
excellent
net
to
zero con
see how we
con la
can connect
circularidad
net
en este
zero with
fondo
the
por
circular
acá. No
economy.
veo en este
I don't
momento alguna
see at the
pregunta,
moment any
pero en
questions for
cualquier
you,
caso
but
vamos a
in
estar
any case,
pendientes
we'll be
para después, por
seeing
si nos llega
if
algo
there's
en la sección
any questions for later
preguntas y respuestas.
in the
Y bueno,
Q&A
súper interesante
section.
lo que nos comentas, ¿no? Del lado
So
de economía
your
circular,
presentation was
que
extremely
nos sirve
interesting
bastante innovador
regarding
y
circular
que tendrá que
economy. It was
precedemos
a very
en Colombia.
innovative
Y luego
action that you're
también
doing in
cómo está
Bancolombia
trabajando, ¿no? Y cómo trabaja
and
desde la
how you're
Universidad de Net
working and
Zero,
connecting the net
América
zero and the
Subsahariana,
circular
desde la parte de
economy.
crédito
You
con el
mentioned that
Programa
you're
Crédito
aligning
Amigo,
the
que forma
loan
parte de la red
portfolio with the
programática
different
de Net
scopes
Zero,
that
de la que UNEP FI es
corresponds to the
beneficiaria.
Banking
Y por eso
Alliance of Net
aprovecho
Zero and
esta instancia para invitar a los
and
bancos que no forman
I
parte de esa
invite all of the
alianza
banks that
a
are
unirse,
not
¿no? Y si
part of that
necesitan más
alliance to
información,
be
ahí
to
se
become
se las
part of
ofrecemos a
it.
través de los
And
coordinadores
if you need
regionales
information,
de
we can
Latina.
provide it through
Luego
the different
también
coordinators in Latin
mencionabas
America and other
importancia del
regions. You
engagement
were
con los
also
clientes,
mentioning
también la
the
ecoeficiencia, que
importance
fue la
of
primera
the
vertiente del
client's
departamento de las
engagement, the
operaciones
reduction of
internas
CO2
y de la
emissions in the
financiación
internal
climática.
operations and the
Veremos
integration of
que también ahí desde
different
los bancos
networks,
alimentarios
climatic
de UNEP FI
networks.
hemos realizado trabajo
And
importante con
we
bancos,
also
con
did
coordinadores
some relevant studies with
implicados en
different
la red
collaborators
de
following the
circularity. Así que
recommendations
bueno, muchísimas
of
gracias
the different
nuevamente,
institutions. So thank
Carolina.
you so much,
Y a
Carolina.
continuación vamos a pasar
And
con la
next,
sección siguiente, que es el
we
simultaneous,
have a
que va a estar
panel,
moderado por
and
Gustavo
we'll
Portalupi,
have
que es
Gustavo
participante de UNEP FI. Yo siempre lo presento como
Portalupi.
nuestro gurú de finanzas
He'll be
sostenibles
the moderator.
también.
He's a guru
Y
for sustainable
este
initiatives.
panel va a ser
And
sobre
this
políticas
panel will
nacionales
be
que
about
apoyen
national policies
la
and
incorporación de la
indices that
economía
already
circular
include
y su
circular
potencial
economy
impacto
and
en
its
el crecimiento
potential impact
económico
on national and
nacional
or
y
regional
regional.
economic
Ahí
growth.
vamos a ver los
We'll
efectos
also see
posibles sobre los
possible
acuerdos
effects on
comerciales
trade
y los
agreements
proyectos de
and the
infraestructura e
sustainable
hidroeléctrico en
infrastructure and
nuestro recorrido
developments towards the
frente a transitar
race
hacia cero
to net
neto
zero,
e
and that
incorporar la
includes
economía
circular
circular. Así
economy.
que adelante, Gustavo, y
So
él nos va
please,
a presentar
Gustavo,
a sus
and
panelistas.
he'll
Muchísimas
introduce
gracias,
the
muy buenos días
speakers.
a todos, buenas
Thank
tardes,
you
hasta donde
very
sea que
much.
esté
Good
el sol se
morning and
ponga.
good
Yo
afternoon,
brevemente
depending
tenía,
on the
antes de
situation.
entrar
I
de
saw
lleno
that
en la presentación, no sé
Beatriz,
si Beatriz
I
tenías
don't know
algún
if
comentario,
Beatriz
alguna
had a
observación que quieres
comment,
realizar
a remark that you would like
previa a
to
comenzar nuestro
to do before starting our debate? We are listening.
Olá, Carolina. Não sei se então.
Yes, please go ahead.
Não, eu gostaria apenas de parabenizar a Bancolombia
I would
pelo
just like to
trabalho,
congratulate
toda essa
Bancolombia for the
estruturação
work
de
and
ferramentas
for the
internas,
structuring of
de ter
internal
um
tools,
lab para apoiar os clientes e, se possível,
of having a
pergunta
lab to support
de como
clients, and
eles
if
fizeram essa
possible, a
estruturação
question of
da
how they
ferramenta
did
e desse lab.
the
Se com
structuring of the
conhecimento
tool.
interno, com especialistas internos, ou se eles receberam alguma assistência de especialistas de
Did they
economia
receive
circular.
any assistance of specialists in circular economy?
Carolina, I don't know if you can answer.
Sí, acá estoy, pero
Beatriz, here I am.
me disculpo, ¿puedes repetir la
I'm
pregunta y
sorry
tengo la
because
traducción en
I
español
was
para
about
entenderla?
to
¿Me la puedes
listen
repetir,
to
por
the
favor?
Spanish interpretation. Can you repeat your
Do you
question,
prefer
please?
that I speak in English?
No, está bien. Le voy a poner la traducción en
Ok.
español. Es que la estaba intentando
No,
poner.
I'll listen to the
Parabéns sobre o
interpretation.
trabalho do
Está bien en
Bancolombia.
español. Voy a poner
Congratulations for the
la traducción
great
Okay, I'm
work
listening.
of your
Primeiramente,
bank.
parabéns
First
pelo
of all,
trabalho do
congratulations
Bancolombia.
for the
Eu acho que esse
wonderful work
trabalho de
Bancolombia
criar uma
did. I
ferramenta
believe
circular,
that
criar um
creating a
laboratório
circular tool,
circular
creating a
para
circular
servir de
lab,
apoio
so that
adicional
it
aos
is
clientes
an
é
additional
extremamente
support to
importante.
your
E
clients,
eu
to your
fiquei
portfolio. That is
curiosa para
extremely
saber
important.
como
And I'm
vocês
curious to
estruturaram
learn
essa
how
ferramenta e
you
esse laboratório.
structured
Se foi
this
com
tool and
conhecimento
this
interno,
lab.
com
If you
especialistas
counted
internos, com
only
equipe
on
do
your
banco,
internal
ou se vocês
specialists
buscaram
and the bank's
conhecimento externo
team,
com
or if you
especialistas de economia
searched for
circular ou apoio de
external
alguma instituição.
specialists or the support of any
Sí,
specialized
perfecto. Sí, nosotros
institution.
hicimos,
Perfect.
digamos, el
Okay.
doble trabajo.
So
Tenemos
we did a
conocimiento
double work.
interno y
So we have the
buscamos conocimiento
internal
externo.
knowledge and
Nos
we
apoyamos
searched
mucho
for
inicialmente con
external
la Ellen
knowledge, and
MacArthur
we were
Foundation.
using the
Nos
Adam
hemos
MacArthur
referenciado con
Foundation
bancos de
help,
otros
and we have
países
alliances
y
with
también
different
nos
banks in different
apoyamos con la
countries, and we
Dirección de
also
Taxonomía.
have the support for the taxonomy
Ahí
from
hemos
it.
tenido pues un apoyo muy importante
So
donde, digamos,
we
nosotros hicimos una definición, pero
receive
el BID también nos
a
hizo pues
big
unas
support from the
recomendaciones
BID. We received
y
some
eso nos ayudó pues
recommendations
a
from them,
mejorar lo que
and
habíamos
we were
definido
able
como
to
taxonomía
improve
inicialmente.
what we were defining as taxonomy at the beginning.
Y también hemos continuado
So
haciendo
we
referenciaciones porque la
are
idea es
also
continuar mejorando
doing
nuestra estrategia.
references
Entonces,
because we
el
want to
equipo
improve
que
our
actualmente
strategy. So
pues,
the
está el laboratorio
current
simultaneous está
stream that
acá
has
interno,
the circular economy lab
si nos
is
permite
an internal
repetirla,
one with a
y no sé si era
expert
también entonces la pregunta.
knowledge.
Sim,
Great,
ótimo,
perfect.
excelente.
So I
No.
also I also I'm also going to say the same. Recognize the Colombian work on this operation. All right, so we'll kick off our panel and introductions first. Oh, will they be with us? We'll be discussing the specific situation of the countries that are facing proactively the circular economy integration. First of all, I'd like to introduce Cynthia Cordova Serrano. She's coordinator of environmental economy of the Ministry for Environment and Economy from Costa Rica, and Victoria Hernandez Sistos, Director of Planning and Policies Coordination from the Secretary of the Environment of Mexico. Both of them have been working for a long time on the topic. So today, I'd like to reinforce the message that we were sharing with Camila about the importance of knowledge exchange, having into consideration those experiences that other countries had. So now we'll talk about the process, how they did it, and I'd like to welcome both of you, and maybe starting by Cynthia. So in this process that Camila talked about, undoubtedly, this is a long process, a complicated one with different challenges and obstacles, things to overcome. What was the experience of Costa Rica? Can you tell us about those situations and how you faced them and overcame them? Thank you very much, Gustavo, for the invitation, and to all of the other colleagues for their excellent presentations. So Camila already talked about the different countries, and I'd like to point on some specific topics to see those challenges, obstacles for our countries and how we solve them. So I could say that any country can have clear regulation framework. So, but this is not enough if we don't have a team that can implement and follow up those initiatives. So, from that point of view, it's important to have a support group to generate the implementation of circular economy. As Camila said, there are multiple sectors and stakeholders, and this is not only the participation of the political or the private stakeholders, but we need the integration of other stakeholders, which are important in terms of implementation. We are speaking about the private sector, that they are committed with this. So this is a very important challenge that we need to take into consideration as countries. So including the private sector in this process of creating a strategy, a policy, a plan to make sure that we're going to be successful so we can have a win-win, and also to not have individualized process because you have different ministries. In our case, we are the Ministry of Environment. We focus on environment. The Ministry of Health focuses on waste. The Ministry of Economy focuses on SMEs, but we need to articulate the different actions. So this is a topic of governance, and it means a lot to being able to build a plan as a country for the circular economy. And I believe the metrics are very important. Uh, with Camila, we have studied a lot. We have some information about macroeconomic uh, data. We have other report about bioeconomy and circular economy, some indexes of the SDGs related to circular economy, but there is a big challenge for some indices, a circularity of the companies in reducing waste or production inputs such as water, other high use commodities. And another challenge that we see is employment. We talk about green employment, but at the level of the metrics of our employment stats, we don't really identify it. Really, this is a challenge as a country for the other Latin American countries how to consolidate those microeconomical indexes to see how much the circular economy contributes to different economic activities related to workforce. That's fundamental. And Camina also mentioned sensibilization, communication. This is extremely important to inform the consumers so they can demand products that can extend their life cycle, and also the consumers should be able to understand a label beyond reading something and picking an article at the supermarket and decide I prefer this one instead of this one. It's better ecologically, and also how to make the circular economy accessible to all of the socioeconomical um, groups, because some of them have more access to those initiatives, but the benefits of the circular economy can be expanded to the different socioeconomical groups to have a more healthier way of consuming. Also, funding that was already mentioned is extremely important currently. So, in the framework of our economy, we are using bioeconomy, biobusinesses, and we have a project with the PNUD and other institutions. They're also looking for financing for those initiatives, also support the seed projects, seed capital. So all of these are projects and they need to be visible for the financial sector, and also a close relationship collaboration with the public sector. And I'll finish here. Yes, thank you so much. Now I welcome Victoria Hernandez, and I like to know, complementing what Cynthia just said, that if in the case of Mexico, with a profile with very different characteristics, so has the country had obstacles or challenges or specific topics that might be interesting to mention?
Hola Gustavo. Bueno, primero quiero
Hello,
agradecerte la
Gustavo.
invitación
Thank you very
a este
much for
webinar.
the invitation
Y bueno,
to this
respondiendo a tu pregunta, la verdad es que
webinar.
estoy de
And
acuerdo también con Cintia. Eh,
in order to
la verdad,
answer
el
your
modelo de economía
question, and I'm
circular, si
agree
se
with
puede
my colleague,
implementar, es necesario
so
que todos
obviously
los
we can
actores
implement the circular
participen.
economy model,
Es
but we
decir, no
need
solo el
all of the
gobierno,
stakeholders,
también
not
pues el
only the
sector
government,
privado,
also the
las
private
empresas, todo el
sector,
sector privado
the
y muy
companies from
importante
the
la
private sector,
ciudadanía.
and also the
Entonces,
citizenship.
para mí un reto, y
So
bueno, no
to
solo para
me
Monterrey, para el gobierno de
and
la Ciudad de
to
México, pues ha sido
the
esta
government of the
colaboración
City
entre
of
los diferentes sectores
Mexico has
para
been
poder
that
implementar
collaboration
acciones.
between the different sectors to
Y bueno,
implement
aquí en la Ciudad de
actions.
México, la verdad
So
es que ya
here
llevamos,
in Ciudad de
tenemos varios
Mexico,
proyectos
we
que se
have
han
different
ido implementando poco
projects
a poco
that have been
desde que ya
implementing
llegamos al gobierno de
slowly,
bienvenida a la economía, ¿no?
and
Tenemos que ir trabajando
obviously we are
para
receiving that green
integrarlo a todos
economy,
los
but we need to
sectores.
work little by
Y
little to
nosotros
integrate
tenemos
all of the
una
sectors.
perspectiva que
So
debe
we
ser
have a
desde la
perspective that
educación,
should be through education.
y no tanto
And
cognitiva,
not only
una perspectiva
cognitive, it's a
también de invitación
perspective
también
of
a la sociedad
inviting
para
the
que se integre a
society
este
to
modelo.
be part of this
Hasta el
model.
momento, bueno, les voy a contar un poco de lo
I'm
que ha
going to
hecho
tell you a little bit
Mexico. Se puede
about what
dividir
Mexico
como en
has done.
cuatro
This can be
grandes
divided
acciones que
into
hemos hecho hasta el
big
momento.
actions.
Bueno, la primera
The first
sería
one
pues, planes y programas.
is to plan some
Les puedo platicar de
programs.
un
Here, can I
programa
talk
muy
about
bonito que
the
tenemos
very
que
nice
se llama
programs we
Enriquece
have,
tu
which is
Precio.
called
¿Y
it's a
saben qué consiste este programa? Pues es
lucky
un
program.
espacio
Well,
donde
this is a
converge la ciudadanía
space
que lleva
where
todos
the
sus
citizens speak and
residuos
get
sólidos
together,
debidamente
and where they take
separados.
their
Y estos
waste,
son
obviously
intercambiados
very
por
separated,
alimentos frescos
and they can be
que son,
exchanged with
bueno,
fresh
producidos
food
por agricultores
produced by
de la Ciudad de México.
farmers in the city of
Y el otro gran
Mexico.
grupo pues
And
sería
the other one
el tema
is
de los
the
proyectos,
project, the
del
topic
cual
of the
también
project.
ha
We're
sido
here as well.
muy enfocado a la
It's been focused
capacitación y a la
on
educación.
training and
Hemos hecho
education.
capacitaciones para
We've
los voluntarios
we've
de
worked on
limpieza
training for the
de cómo separar
volunteers of
estos
Limpia, how
residuos
to
para que
separate
posteriormente
the
estos
waste. So
voluntarios de
after
limpia
these
vayan con la
people
ciudadanía
can
y
go
les
together with the
expliquen
people
cómo
and
debe ser esta
explain
separación,
how they can
ya que bueno,
separate the
actualmente aquí en
waste.
la Ciudad de México
Because
pues tenemos
today
que
here in the
separar
city of
más o
Mexico, we have
menos
to
la basura
separate in
y los
4
residuos y esta
large
se va
sectors. And
recogiendo
this
y
is
tenemos un día en
taken.
específico de la semana
One
para
day, specific day of the
recoger
week,
todo
they pick
residuo.
specific waste. And later on, we have to implement infrastructure. And we have many projects so far. I have to go very quickly. Well, we have 13 stations of compost, so separation. And here I have to mention that this station had an investment of 4,500 million pesos, Mexican pesos. And this waste food becomes energy that is used by the buses in the city of, and this contributes at least to mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions. It reduces them a lot. Then we have a treatment of construction waste, and we gather all this and we exchange it for food. And the last one, the kind of actions that the city has carried out are the modifications of the legislation. In 2016, we had a reform to solid waste for plastic of only one use in 2020. And from this year, it was forbidden the delivery of plastic bags of only one use. Now we included other products of only one use made of plastic. They are also all forbidden. Another example we have, according to regulatory framework, are the alignments for the goods and services with a lower environmental impact. And this has to do with the purchases of the public administration of the city. And so the objective here is to have sustainable purchases made by the government or the state. Now, the last one, well, at present, we have a project of circular economy. This is a new legislation. It's a law, which is at the Congress and at the stage of comments. But well, these are the actions we have so far. And we have the support of the different public policies. Well, they were a little bit complicated due to this, but here we have the main is focused to climate change, which are the environmental programs and the local strategies for action, climate actions. These include the perspective of circular economy. Victoria, thank you very much. The question is here by Alejandra. If you can comment a little bit on what is the gathering station, and that is very valuable for the circular economy. Yeah, the gathering area for food that are leftovers from the market are taken to this place. Perfect. Yeah, I have another question for you. Could you tell us a little more about the recycling of oil that has been used for frying things, and how have they implemented the solution? We have trained people in the different markets that we have great potential here in terms of oil. Now we have trained them, so this is all gathered and they're taken to this treatment station. This is the main focus we've been working on. Cynthia, in case of Costa Rica, what kind of initiatives of actions? Well, because we're thinking here, because it's a learning for other countries that maybe are not so advanced as you, but initiatives that you have implemented and are really worthwhile to consider. Well, there are some things at the political level that were already mentioned by Camilla in her presentation, but I would here to enhance an element that is very important, which is how to help all the different steps to the circular economy. And we know that from the executive, we have certain coincidences with the local government. So we wanted to build an instrument that could help, so that the local governments would go to that transition to circular economy, and in these different steps that are easy to identify, but also have to be adjusted to their conditions. The local governments have differences in terms of geography, the way they produce, the resources are different, and how can do this the transition in a way that is adequate to their own conditions, even the productive or the producers, the farmers. Well, here we want to focus on the circular economy. Well, complying with all these conditions that consider the social, the economy within this process of transition to a circular economy, looking obviously to reduce the emissions, generate but friendly consuming patterns, and also extraction of resources have to be different, and which is all positive, and to help the circular economy for the local governments. There's a program that related to the ecology. It's different categories. But here we have a sustainable construction, which is a program where the people can implement actions within certain conditions and possibilities that are stated, and they win sort of stirs. And I think that we have 5 stars in each one of the categories, and which is one is very popular and provides a very good image for the companies and the people and the institution that have this program, which is absolutely free. What is very interesting as well is conditioned to the emission. This is the first step for the circular economy, which is absolutely related to the emissions. And this important step that has to be carried out to improve the way of producing and the way to carry out the process within the industry, the families, and the companies in order to reach the objectives of circular economy. I want to talk about the agreements, and we have tools which have generated also technical regulations of circular economy that can be implemented by the institutions and the companies. But I think that for these elements, I think they are very important, and also they could be implemented in other areas. Yes, I think it's a very good idea, very important to be able to replicate and escalate them. I think it would be very useful in case of Costa Rica as in other areas. And once you can probably send us the link so we can share that with our people in order to share, which is very important. Something you mentioned already, in order to articulate what Victoria already said, what happens in Mexico City, and this can be replicated, or can be, or it is applicable to other areas and cities or regions, or even within Mexico. I think it's an important challenge. Just to mention one point, there's a company, Pedregalta, which works on construction. It uses a new material that uses plastic, not the plastic for other production processes, in order to have materials to build roads. It's sort of a recap for roads. I participated in another conference where there was showed that the oil used in cars is taken to a station where it is processed and can be used again within the same cars. I think these are very interesting cases. This is what I want to mention. Thank you very much, Victoria. We talked before about the topic of collaboration, interaction of the different sectors and of the economy, which is key to a project or transition process to a circular economy. Now, with the perspective of the public sector, what kind of collaboration, support, or backing do you expect from the financing sector for this kind of project? Because according to we have, for the public sector, we have the laws, but here, that financing entities have a role which is very important as well. Yeah, the financial entities are key because they can help the small entrepreneurs that have a circular business, and they go from repairing, creation of technology that help, for example, getting water, capturing water. This is one of the programs we have. So far, we have 30,000 systems installed, but this goes together with training the people so they know how to install and they can work on this. So if the financing entities could help to these people or companies, would be wonderful, not only in this sector in terms of capturing water, there are other sectors as well. Well, the circular economy model is very powerful to produce green employment. At present, in Mexico, the 8.7% of the formal employers are green. So the financial entities have a key role. Is that their work or structure in terms of exchange, or with the work with the banks or different financial entities, with the government and the entrepreneurs? I don't know the experience you have here in case of Mexico. Well, at present, the financial sector, we have a working exchange. What we've done is that we have different programs of creating green employment. So this is a great support. And so, for example, people who just collect the solid waste, and we have a project of Barrancas, and it's a training program, and it's quite technical as well. What happens, Cynthia, in the case of Costa Rica? Is there a structure of interaction between the financing sector and the public sector and the entrepreneurs trying to push this idea of collaboration and pro that circular economy? Well, the framework of circular economy, but the different communities. This is part of the challenges that have to take over in terms of these articulations of this of a circular economy. But in terms of economy, we have a bioeconomy circulating, in which here we have a platform that now I mentioned that it's financing of biobusiness financing. And this mobilization, the idea is to invest in the development banking to finance all the screen projects and companies to develop these kind of activities. There are other programs, the ones who will program or Acelera, other programs, Nova, Credit, or Natura Women, and others is Credit or Rural Women. So if now there are certain categories, but no doubt that this is a challenge mainly because not always information flows clearly. So this is well, in fact, we had today great presentations about financing in this kind of portfolio circular economy, but not necessarily we are not all the people who have certain projects can reach us. This is what we have seen in terms of circular economy. How do we generate the synergy? So either the one who generates the information and provides the credit can reach the client, and people can know the topics of circular economy to carry out other economic activities. In Costa Rica, we have that, but there are many challenges that still we have to carry out.
All right, so we run out of time. We would be all morning talking about these interesting topics, and obviously your work serves as a model for other countries. So thank you very much, Victoria, Cynthia, and also if you can send us the links so we can share them with the rest of the audience. So I only have here congratulations to all of the speakers that integrated our panel. Thank you so much. And now I open the floor to Carolina to wrap up.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very
Muy
much.
bueno el panel y muchísimas
A
gracias,
great
Gustavo,
panel.
por
Thank you very
la
much,
invitación.
Gustavo,
Ya vamos
for
a ir
your
finalizando.
moderation. So we are wrapping
Y
up.
por esto agradecer
And
muchísimo a todos los
only to
expositores, a los
thank all of the
panelistas, al
speakers,
orador,
the
por todas
participants,
las
the moderator for
explicaciones
all
que han tenido, a todos
for the
ustedes, por
excellent
supuesto, por
contributions,
habernos acompañado
and
hasta
also
el
to
hasta
everyone
este
who
punto.
was
Veíamos
with
ahí saludos de América
us.
Latina,
We saw
Caribe,
greetings
también
from
de
Latin
Estados
America, the
Unidos, de
Caribbean area,
Canadá,
from the
etcétera.
USA,
Así
Canada.
que estamos muy
So
contentos
we are
de
very
siempre que nos
happy
acompañen
that
y
you were
todos
with us, and
en esto aprendemos,
because we
esperamos haber
learn,
disfrutado, así
and we
como nosotros,
hope
y
that
esperamos
you
verles en el
have
siguiente
enjoyed it, and
webinar, el
we hope
tercero,
to
que
see
será
you
sobre
in
el
the
financiamiento
next
de la
webinar, the
economía
third one,
circular,
financing
enfocado a las
in
pequeñas
circular
y
economy applied
medianas
to
empresas, que se
SMEs,
realizará el 24
that
de
will be
agosto.
held
Y
on
vamos a estar
August
pronto
24th,
enviando el link
and
de
very soon
formulario de
we'll
inscripción.
send
Este
the
tercer webinar estará
enrollment
disponible el 24
link,
en el
so
seminario de
be
este evento
on
y
the
también nos
lookout.
gustaría
And
informar
we'll
a todas las
also be
personas
informing
que
that
tenemos en
via
base de
email to
datos de
all of
esta
the
actividad y también a
people
través
that
de redes
we have in our
sociales.
database,
Así que
also
muchísimas
through the
gracias
social
nuevamente y que
networks. Thank you
tengan
so much,
una
and
buena
have
mañana
an
o tarde,
very
dependiendo
happy
de
day
cuándo
or
nos esté
afternoon.
escuchando.